The story begins with the MC, Katagiri, who earns a daily wage of 7,000 yen. After 6 months of constant small jobs, he finally manages to purchase the newest gaming console released on the market. Before he can enjoy it, a blade is driven straight through the device. Nearly 2 decades have passed since the sudden emergence of mysterious portals that link his world to another realm. The individuals who enter these gates and confront the creatures inside are known as hunters. They are placed into levels, and their standing increases as they take down stronger enemies. Katagiri, 28 years old, holds an F rank. His life consists of basic, low-earning tasks as one of the weakest hunters. As he stands there, he tries to understand whether the blade might have fallen from above. While he stares at it, an angelic sword spirit appears before him, revealing herself as the entity connected to the sacred weapon. She explains that this world is approaching a grave threat and that Katagiri has been selected to take hold of the holy weapon and shape the course ahead. Katagiri senses a strange presence in his home and calls the authorities. The spirit of the sword appears, dressed in an unusual way, and declares herself the manifestation of a sacred blade. She takes offense at what she sees as disrespect and demands him to recognize her status. Katagiri listens and asks why she has come. She explains that her essence was drawn here and that he has been chosen as the one who can wield her. She insists this is his destiny, or at least what it should be, and urges him to have confidence in himself. Despite her insistence, Katagiri refuses, stating that he cannot take on the responsibility of saving the world, hinting at personal reasons. He decides to show her. She complains about being carried in a simple bag, saying it is beneath her. Katagiri explains that he has no choice. Only he can see her, and without a proper sheath, carrying a floating sword in public would cause panic. They reach a section of the main road where workers are laboring. After Katagiri shows his identification, one worker recognizes him, confirms his rank, and acknowledges him as a hunter. The man thanks him for accepting a job on short notice and recalls how he was praised for his earlier ore sorting work, noting his speed and careful handling. Katagiri wonders if it was a genuine praise. As he gets to work, the sword's spirit urges him to fight monsters, criticizing how ordinary his work is. He explains that his job is collecting magical ore and that he does not battle creatures. His work is simple manual labor, but it offers steady pay, fixed hours, and no travel. He admits he lacks both the skill and courage to face monsters and understands that the spirit sees him as useless. As he pushes his cart of materials into the cave, Katagiri explains that this work is how he survives. The sword spirit counters that monsters are appearing from another world and insists that treating the situation as normal and ignoring the threat is unacceptable. Inside the cave, a group of hunters approaches. Among them, a young man identified as Makura, a C-rank hunter, recognizes Katagiri. His companions ask how he knows him, and Makura explains that they attended the hunter qualification test together. Katagiri also remembers him. Makura recalls how, during the test, the examiner asked each participant about their aspirations. Katagiri had confidently declared that he would rise to the highest possible standing and protect the world. Makura's companions react with amusement, pointing out that the highest level is S rank and laughing at how unrealistic the statement had sounded. Looking back over the past 5 years, Makura reflects on his steady growth to C rank, while Katagiri has remained at the lowest level the entire time. Knocking over Katagiri's card in the process, he remarks on how harsh natural ability can be. Katagiri reacts with frustration, telling them not to damage his belongings. He forces himself to dismiss the moment and focuses on the fact that he still has work to complete. With a strained tone, he thanks them and resolves to continue relying on the tasks he receives. As Makura leaves, he mentions the remaining ore deeper inside and indicates that they will collect it once their bag is filled. After the group disappears into the cave, the sword spirit questions Katagiri's reaction, unable to believe he is not angered by how he was treated. Calmly, he insists that he simply focuses on what he is capable of doing and accepts that as enough for himself. The spirit compares him to the many champions she has accompanied in other realms, concluding that he is the timidest among them. Katagiri admits that he acts this way because he doesn't want to be disliked, so he avoids causing conflict. The spirit challenges him, saying that hiding his true self to gain approval means no one will ever truly understand him. After gathering his equipment, he moves on, saying this is simply how he chooses to live. He checks the map on his phone to confirm their location, noting that under normal conditions, they would carry the ore outside the gate. He then wonders what Makura plans to do instead. A creature designated as a D-rank gate monster, known as the Reborn Rafflesia, appears within the cavern. Katagiri and the sword spirit quickly hide themselves as they observe it. He notes that this is the creature inhabiting the gate, while the spirit recognizes it from past encounters, pointing out that its size seems far greater than normally expected. At that moment, Makura arrives, calling out to Katagiri and urging him to bring the collected ore forward. Dragging his cart while running, Katagiri discovers what Makura is doing. Makura has been offering the ore to the monster, using it as a method to force the creature to strengthen itself. Explaining his strategy, he states that defeating a low-rank creature does not significantly raise a hunter's standing, so he intentionally causes it to grow, hoping that eliminating a stronger version will rapidly advance his position and reputation. Encouraging the creature to consume more material, Makura is driven by his desire to reach higher status quickly. The sword spirit shields Katagiri, insisting that what Makura is doing must not be allowed to continue. Katagiri asks the spirit what she means. She explains that a gate functions as an environment where creatures from another realm develop. She states that once a creature inside reaches full maturity, the summoning completes, allowing it to cross into the human world, where it would cause severe destruction throughout the city. Katagiri is shocked, realizing the danger of the situation. Makura laughs as the moment approaches. Preparing a spear infused with the power of a tyrant wolf's magic stone, he announces the use of his most powerful technique. He charges forward and strikes the monster, achieving what appears to be an easy victory. However, as Katagiri watches from behind, he realizes that the creature continues to grow stronger instead of being defeated. Makura grows alarmed and confused as the creature's power rises far beyond what he expected. Even though Katagiri is deeply afraid of being disliked, he realizes he can't ignore what's happening. He knows that if he does nothing, the people around will blame him for whatever follows. Thinking more about the consequences than the danger, he steps in. Katagiri warns Makura that the creature can no longer be defeated and tells everyone nearby to run, insisting that staying will cost them their lives. The group rushes toward the exit while he steps forward, as if preparing to act. The spirit questions him, trying to understand whether he truly plans not to fight. He insists he has no power to face the creature, explaining that it has already grown beyond its original rank and is nearing a much higher level. He believes someone like him, with no special ability, cannot survive such a threat. He adds that once the transformation is complete, skilled hunters will arrive to deal with it, and that his plan is to escape before then. The spirit challenges him, asking how many people will die before help arrives, and saying that this is the only chance to stop the creature. Katagiri responds that the heroes she once admired were special, and that someone as ordinary as him could never deserve a sacred blade. She argues against this, explaining that chosen warriors are not always born with great power. What truly matters is the will to act for someone else. She reminds him that even without strength, he stepped forward earlier to protect someone for his own reasons, proving that he is capable of fighting when it truly counts. Katagiri begins explaining to the spirit what drives him. He recalls that during his second year of university, his closest friend lost his life. Repeated creature incidents had created constant fear, and his friend ended his own life because he could no longer endure it. Katagiri reflects that if the world had not changed in this way, he might have been able to protect him, and this thought becomes the source of his desire to fight. He remembers a moment from the past when an instructor asked him what he hoped to accomplish after becoming a hunter. Standing up, he declared his intention to rise to the highest rank and protect the world. However, the reality he faced soon corrected that idealism. His classmates laughed as he was ordered to withdraw from training once again due to injuries. He was forced to recognize how little strength he actually possessed. Katagiri admits that he set an unrealistic goal for himself and grew frustrated when he realized he lacked natural talent. He compared himself to others who advanced faster, gave up before truly trying, and then resented their own lack of ability. He calls himself worthless, someone who failed before even giving himself a chance. As he struggles with the spirit's words, he is forced to face a truth he never thought he would hear again. The spirit tells him that what happens next depends on his choice. His resolve hardens, and he accepts the task with firm determination. Surprised by his answer, she explains that her power cannot be released all at once and requires time and training to fully awaken. Katagiri realizes he cannot use any overwhelming technique right away, which frustrates him. Sensing his disappointment, the spirit remarks that expecting a sacred weapon to work effortlessly is unreasonable. However, she adds that charging straight at the creature with full force is still possible. Katagiri decides to try, steels himself, and follows her guidance as she leads him forward. His speed quickly becomes uncontrollable, and he asks her to stop, but she responds that once she moves forward, she cannot halt. As he continues, he tries to change direction while struggling with the force. The creature keeps repairing itself no matter how many strikes he attempts. The spirit informs him that destroying the core located in the center should end the creature. Katagiri throws himself toward the indicated point, but as he attacks, the creature's growth tightens around him, pushing him backward and sending him to the ground. The spirit moves toward him, pointing out that the vines are binding him. Urging himself to escape, Katagiri stops when he recognizes that he is falling into the same pattern of retreat. His earlier ambition echoes in his mind, reminding him of the goal he once declared. He refuses to fall back again, and decides that if a direct charge cannot succeed, he will choose another method. His resolve heightens as he positions himself to drive downward with full force. Putting every bit of strength into the action, he continues, despite the spirit noting how rough and unrefined his approach appears. Resolving within himself, he commits completely, believing this is the path to reach the highest rank and protect the world. As the portal starts to close, he gets ready to leave, trusting that this is the right path forward. Ever since strange portals connecting this world to another started appearing, people who enter them to fight the creatures inside have been called hunters. Katagiri, a low-ranking hunter, ends up with a loud and demanding holy sword and somehow manages to defeat a monster with it. Right after the battle, the spirit inside the sword urges him to keep moving and insists that he must go out immediately to keep protecting the world. Katagiri grows frustrated, feeling tired of constantly running around with the sword, and reminds himself that he's already in his late 20s and worn out. The spirit is shocked and tells him that he must slowly draw out its power himself, explaining that mastering the sword doesn't happen instantly. Katagiri recalls that the spirit had said something similar earlier. The spirit continues, stating that awakening its strength requires time and proper practice, and points out that ever since he first picked it up, he has barely managed to use any of its abilities. Katagiri wonders what the sword is actually capable of and what might happen if he were able to use it fully. The spirit admits that it does not know the exact outcome. Katagiri reacts with confusion and irritation. The spirit goes on, saying that it contains tremendous potential, but the way that power manifests depends entirely on the one who wields it. Past users developed completely different styles. Some released sacred radiance, others refined their mastery of the blade, and some advanced in hand-to-hand techniques. Every previous wielder found a unique method of fighting. Katagiri considers this and concludes that it resembles a game where abilities are chosen and unlocked through personal effort. He realizes that whatever he becomes capable of doing depends on how much he works for it. The spirit then urges him to begin training immediately and suggests that he should start with a solo attempt by clearing the creatures inside the current portal. Katagiri feels irritated again, thinking that the spirit is too forceful, and insists that he has his own rhythm. He believes he can simply defeat a creature every now and then to raise his rank slowly. Since he still needs to maintain his normal life, he decides to keep doing small jobs on the side. The spirit responds angrily, viewing his decision as an insult to its power. Katagiri is startled by the reaction. He starts explaining his thoughts by pointing to the meal in front of him. He says it uses far more ingredients than food from an ordinary place, yet it always tastes good no matter how many times he makes it. The spirit is surprised and asks why he suddenly starts talking about food. Still confused, the spirit asks what he is trying to say. Katagiri explains that small pleasures like this are important to him and that he wants to cherish them. That is why he is fine with advancing in rank slowly. For a moment, the spirit seems to understand, but then it suddenly rejects his idea, shouting in protest. Katagiri shouts back, pointing out the contradiction. The spirit argues that it cannot accept his decision so easily, and insists that since he has gained great power, he should use it right away to protect stability. He responds that if he were capable of rushing into that kind of role, he would not be having such a difficult time in the first place. The spirit tells him that once he finishes his meal, they need to head out, mentioning that a task is waiting for them. Later, Katagiri and the spirit enter a wooded area inside a rank C portal. A large feline creature with long fangs waits within the field, while Katagiri handles a rank F task involving the collection of plants. The spirit alerts him to the creature nearby and urges him to defeat it. Katagiri looks at it and thinks about how much he dislikes being pushed, still upset that the spirit damaged his game device. The spirit insists that there is no time for distractions, explaining that a threat hangs over the world and that this is the reason it ended up in his hands. Tired and irritated, Katagiri asks what this supposed danger actually is. The spirit admits that it does not know. He then asks when this threat is supposed to appear, and again the spirit cannot provide an answer. Katagiri shouts in frustration, pointing out how little the spirit seems to understand. The spirit raises its voice as well, insisting that he must learn to use its power so he will be prepared whenever that moment finally arrives. Katagiri silences the spirit and reminds it that the current assignment is simply to gather plants inside the portal. Confronting creatures should be left to the hunters who take on the requests afterward, and he refuses to take on any additional tasks. The spirit then questions him, wondering whether he might actually be frightened. Katagiri admits to himself that he is frightened, knowing that he is unsure whether he can defeat such a strong creature. He recognizes that facing something like this is naturally terrifying. The spirit quickly clarifies that it did not mean it in that way, and says it should express regret first, explaining that it cannot move according to his slow rhythm. Suddenly, the large fanged beast appears directly in front of Katagiri, startling him. The spirit presents the holy sword to him, and urges him to bring the creature down immediately. Katagiri refuses, thinking that using the spirit's power would not change anything. He decides to handle the confrontation by himself without relying on the sword, prepares his own weapon, and declares that he will defeat the creature alone. The spirit reacts in shock and fear, insisting that he does not have the capability to fight it on his own. Katagiri dismisses the concern and tells the spirit to watch. The spirit responds angrily, frustrated by how reckless he is being. Katagiri moves forward but immediately loses his footing and falls. As he faces the creature at close range, he realizes how much larger it looks from this distance. He becomes frustrated and acknowledges that he has no other option, though he still hesitates internally. The large beast pursues him, forcing him to hide behind a spot where it cannot reach him right away. He realizes how narrowly he escaped and wonders about the strength the creature possesses. Knowing he must act quickly, he rushes to search for the item he needs. He checks one place and finds nothing, growing frustrated until he finally discovers the plant he is looking for while still being chased. The plant is known for releasing a cry that harms anyone who hears it. As the creature charges toward him, Katagiri seizes a brief opening and strikes at its face. In that moment, he internally admits that from the beginning he knew he stood no chance of winning. He questions why he tried to face the creature alone and why he attempted something so unreasonable. Before he can react further, the spirit suddenly appears behind him and attacks the beast, buying him enough time to escape its immediate reach. The spirit confronts him, demanding to know what he truly wants and why he refuses to use its power. Katagiri responds with confusion, overwhelmed by suddenly being told that he must handle a sacred weapon and protect the world. He cannot understand what he is supposed to do. He reflects on being 28 years old, working small tasks as a low-ranking hunter, and doubts whether having a powerful weapon means anything. He wonders if the situation is a mistake or a misunderstanding. He admits he fears creatures like this, but even more than that, he fears failing again. Because of this, he believes that if he cannot even defeat a creature of this level on his own, he is unworthy of fighting alongside the holy sword. After hearing Katagiri's explanation, the spirit understands why he attempted to face the creature alone. It reflects on how it had doubted whether someone so unmotivated could truly protect the world when it first appeared before him by fate. Yet despite that doubt, the spirit remembers how he acted without hesitation the moment someone was in danger, even when the situation made little sense. His instincts still leaned toward helping others. The spirit acknowledges that no one starts out flawless and that failure happens repeatedly, but promises to remain at his side regardless. It expresses its belief that he is capable of safeguarding the world. It also notes that as people grow older, they begin to question everything too much. Katagiri rises and realizes that he should act first instead of wasting time overthinking. He asks the spirit to support him and takes hold of the holy sword. The spirit reacts with satisfaction, as if it had been waiting for him to reach this point. Before they can continue, the large beast appears again. Katagiri immediately lifts the spirit in sword form and runs, reacting quickly. The spirit urges him to create an opening, and he responds with determination. Summoning his resolve, Katagiri uses the sword and strikes the creature with full effort. The moment the blow lands, the beast vanishes from the field. After the battle, the spirit tells him that his technique is unrefined and wonders if they could find a better way to fight. Katagiri stops the spirit and says he will learn to use the sword properly and rise through the ranks in his own way, as fast as he can. When the incident is reported, they report that the creature was already defeated, which helps him avoid any problems. He completes the task as required. From that point forward, he and the spirit gradually continue defeating minor creatures, and over time, he finally reaches rank E. A notification appears on his device, congratulating him on advancing. Katagiri is overjoyed, feeling relieved to no longer be at the lowest level. With the payment he receives, he buys a new gaming system. The spirit comments that occasional rest is acceptable and gives him approval to enjoy himself. Katagiri responds happily that he does not need authorization for that. Nearby, a girl notices him and quietly remarks that she has found him. Katagiri, absorbed in his excitement, walks forward while celebrating. He enjoys the moment, having also bought a game he had been wanting for a long time, and plans to stay up all night playing it. Suddenly, the girl steps directly in front of him. She addresses him as the one who wields the holy sword and asks if he has any final words. Thoughts race through Katagiri's mind. His new gaming console, how much it cost, and why it got destroyed. As he cries over it, the sword spirit urgently warns him that the girl will finish him if he does nothing. Katagiri raises the holy sword toward the sky and commands it to jump, trying to escape the danger. The girl warns him that getting away won't be so easy. They land on the roof of a tall building. Katagiri questions the spirit, confused that people in this world seem aware of the holy sword as well. The spirit responds with pride, suggesting that her legend from another world may already exist here. Katagiri grows frustrated and tells her not to act so proudly, wondering how many people already know about this so-called legend. He realizes that if he keeps getting targeted like this, he cannot endure constant pursuit. The spirit relaxes and comments on the intensity of the girl's intent, describing how long it has been since she felt something that strong. Katagiri, irritated by her calm reaction, tells her that if she can sense danger that clearly, she should warn him earlier. As she focuses, the spirit begins picking up faint traces of hostile intent. Suddenly, the same girl appears behind him and closes in to strike. The spirit alerts him just in time, and Katagiri immediately shifts backward, narrowly avoiding her attack. The girl insists she must retrieve the holy sword, worried that her father will be angry if she fails. Still confused, he questions whether she is also a hunter, since she carries a weapon. He tries to remind her about the rules regarding pointing weapons near the gate and how reports can cost a license, but she dismisses those concerns without hesitation. Katagiri calls out to the holy sword for help just as the girl lunges toward him again. To protect himself, he brings the sword forward, preparing to meet the attack. He attempts to match the blade's angle with the danger he senses, using the sword's position as a shield. The spirit acknowledges his intention and prepares to support him. Katagiri steadies his stance, determined not to be pushed back by her force. As the fight continues, he struggles to follow the girl's movements. She attacks with impossible speed, and his eyes can barely track her. Each sudden motion reveals yet another concealed blade. He wonders what kind of person could carry so many weapons, comparing her to a living forge capable of producing endless tools for combat. The sword spirit notes her impressive skill, while he grows increasingly panicked as he tries to think of any way to survive. Desperate, he attempts to stop the situation by asking the girl if she is hungry. He proposes a bargain in which she would halt her attempts on his life, and in return, he would take her for food for a specific period of time, offering the best ramen he can provide. They arrive at a restaurant called Heaven Gifts, where their meal is served. The spirit reacts with disbelief that he is sitting with someone who had just tried to end him. Katagiri, still terrified, focuses on his favorite ramen and encourages the girl to try it. She begins eating and is overwhelmed by the strong flavor of the broth, which is thick and rich. She's amazed by the flavor of the food. Katagiri quickly places a napkin in front of her with his hand, asking if she's a kid. She reverts back to her evil vibe, warning him not to treat her like a child. Katagiri tries to calm her by offering a piece of gyoza, hoping she will forgive his earlier reaction. He attempts to ease her mood, but she immediately demands another serving while threatening him again. Katagiri grows frustrated that she speaks so casually about ending him, yet he still shows her how to enjoy the food properly by placing the gyoza into the broth. Katagiri introduces himself and reveals that he has recently advanced to E rank. The girl then shares that she holds the position of a C rank hunter. He becomes impressed by her level, realizing that her precise handling of knives makes sense given her rank. He asks how she recognized the holy sword. She explains that the day before, she had seen him inside a gate, noticed him shouting the name of the weapon, recorded the moment, and sent the footage to her father. Her father instructed her to retrieve the sword and eliminate him in order to accomplish the task. Katagiri finds the situation extremely troubling, while the spirit comments on how distracting the girl's speech pattern is. She continues her account, explaining that she lost track of the sword afterward and has been searching for it ever since. Katagiri is confused as he processes the information, realizing she had witnessed him the previous day inside the gate and questioning how she found him again. He begins questioning Shei about why someone of her level would enter a gate meant for much lower ranks. He has worked in various gates and knows that once hunters reach her level, the creatures become far larger and require a group with divided roles to handle them. Without a team, facing monsters from her own rank category would be nearly impossible. Because of this, he concludes that she must have been accepting small, scattered jobs instead of assignments suited to her level. He wonders if her father is putting pressure on her to advance more quickly, pushing her toward higher achievements without proper support. She responds sharply, insisting that he does not understand her father at all. Katagiri continues and explains that he wants to establish an agreement from this point forward. He declares that within a month, he intends to help her reach a B rank, and if he fails to accomplish that goal, he will hand over the holy sword to her. The spirit reacts with disbelief and anger, unable to understand why he would make such a promise. Despite the spirit's reaction, Katagiri stands by his decision and asks Shei to join him as a partner. Katagiri firmly tells Shei that she should join him as a team. She is surprised at first, but admits that she does not really understand his point. He explains that she must move forward from her current plan of aiming for a higher rank and acquiring the sacred blade. He adds that even if she manages to obtain it, handling gates at the C rank level and above alone is extremely difficult. He points out that forming a group is basically required. Then he suggests working together for 1 month and testing how battles function when done as a team. As he observes her reaction, he realizes she has never been in a group before. Shei becomes defensive, and Katagiri continues, noting that she might even reach a rank above B if things go well. He mentions that even if that does not happen, she will still gain team experience and receive the sacred blade, making the situation beneficial for her either way. Shei pauses, considering his offer carefully. Katagiri watches her expression and notices that he has spoken without much thought, yet he still feels that it is not enough to fully convince her. He decides to add another incentive, saying that he will treat her to ramen every day for a month. She is startled by this, but after a moment she agrees. She warns him that if she does not reach B rank within the month, she will take his life and claim the sacred blade. Katagiri accepts her condition, feeling relieved that she is straightforward in her thinking. When they arrive at the guild branch, Spirit asks Katagiri what this place is. He explains that it is a facility that assists hunters and manages different formalities. After entering, he walks to a service counter and requests to register their group. The staff member asks both of them to scan their hunter applications. Katagiri scans his first, and Shei impatiently urges him to move faster. He reacts nervously, admitting it is his first time here, and then recalls that she had tried to attack him the moment they met. Shei quickly finishes her scan, and the staff member checks their info, confirming Katagiri as an E-rank hunter and Shei as a C-rank hunter. The spirit wonders why a lower-ranked older man is teamed with a young girl, pointing out the impression it gives, and Katagiri feels the weight of everyone's looks. The staff member tells them their group registration is complete, and they can now take missions together. She asks if they want suggestions, but Katagiri says their situation is unusual and that he needs Shei to reach B rank within a month. He asks if there are missions that can help with that. The staff member explains that reaching C rank only needs enough mission points, but moving to B rank or higher also requires contributing to the guild. Katagiri asks what counts as contributing. She says it usually comes from urgent missions or completing difficult gates with little time, and adds that such chances are rare. She's never heard of anyone advancing this quickly. Katagiri realizes how tough it will be for Shei to reach B rank in a month, and the staff member stresses that it will be extremely hard. On the way back, Shei attacks him in frustration, demanding to know if she cannot advance within the given time. Katagiri panics and tries to calm her, insisting that they still have an entire month and that he will find a way. He tells her they will choose a mission the next day and that he will contact her with the information. She storms off angrily, muttering about miso. Katagiri calls after her, reminding her that they will have miso ramen the following day. From behind, Spirit calls out to him, saying she admires his determination, but questions whether he and Shei are a suitable match, noting that they might hinder each other because their combat approaches are too similar. Katagiri responds that he is still unsure how his own approach will develop, and that, in the worst case, he will adjust to Shei's style. He tells Spirit that he is more concerned about Shei's father, the man who wants his daughter to take his life in order to obtain the sacred blade. Spirit responds that she prefers not to create hostility if it can be avoided. Katagiri explains that when someone is having a hard time, he would rather offer support. Later that night, when Shei returns home, the house is completely dark. Her father approaches in his wheelchair and asks her about the sacred blade. Shei gives a short response, addressing him as her father. When Shei arrives home, her father, Zetsui Zaid, a former A-rank hunter, immediately questions her about the holy sword. He demands to know its whereabouts. Shei hesitantly explains that the sword's current wielder had promised that within a month he would help her advance to a B-rank hunter. If he fails, he must hand over the holy sword to her. Her father reacts angrily and instructs her to use the opportunity to take the sword and achieve a B rank herself within the given time. Once she accomplishes this, she is expected to confront the current wielder and claim the holy sword. She hesitates, but her father insists that her entire purpose is to achieve the goal, regardless of the challenges, and that she must retrieve the holy sword without fail. At that moment, the lady standing behind her father's wheelchair reminds Shei that it is almost time for her daily routine. She acknowledges this and proceeds. The next day, they arrive at a C-rank dungeon gate, preparing for their first mission together. Katagiri expresses his excitement about their first task as a team and encourages Shei to match his enthusiasm. She responds quietly, and he quickly drops the topic. Before beginning the quest, they decide to evaluate their abilities. Katagiri inquires about the knives Shei carries, which contain monster-infused magical stones, and asks about the effects of these stones. She describes the properties of her knives, explaining how the embedded stones have the potential to drop from defeated monsters and how she can split her knives into duplicates. Katagiri realizes that this explains why she carries so many concealed knives. She recounts that she learned to use her weapons back when her father was a hunter. Her knives specialize in duplicating and unleashing rapid combinations. Katagiri reveals that the holy sword fell into his place, so he got it by chance, and she took it up. He can throw the sword and move at incredible speed while wielding it, though he admits that she does not yet fully understand all of its capabilities. Both Shei and Spirit observe that it's unusual compared to conventional weapons. From their hiding place, they spot their target, a large armored lizard. Katagiri notes its size and bulky frame, assuming that its movements are likely slow, and chooses to stay hidden while searching for an opening. He asks Shei to act as a decoy to attract the creature's attention. Shei refuses, explaining that she does not feel up to it, which Katagiri recognizes as the reason she has never joined a full team before. He then attempts to persuade her by promising that once the mission is complete, he will add her favorite topping, buttered corn, to her miso ramen, describing how it enhances the flavor. She reluctantly agrees to follow the plan, though she remains hesitant. They step out from their hiding place and approach the creature. She declares that she will handle it on her own and advances toward the armored lizard, attacking with impressive precision. From above, Katagiri observes her movements and understands that she is attempting to fight the monster alone. He reminds himself that she is meant to be the distraction, so her actions still align with their plan. He moves silently while holding the holy sword, preparing for his part. The spirit says that in situations like this, one person usually distracts the monster, while the other gathers power to unleash a strong magic attack. She asks what plan they are using now. Katagiri thinks that the fight would be easy if he had useful magic, but instead he decides to try a different technique, hoping it will work. One day before the battle, Spirit brings up the matter of how the next day's fight should be dealt with. Katagiri carefully considers the situation and decides to focus on waiting for the right moment to strike. As the discussion continues, a plan begins to take shape with Shei positioned at the front, drawing the monster's attention toward herself. Spirit explains that this lineup will allow him to attack from a distance whenever an opening appears, creating a basic yet steady formation. Katagiri points out the danger that the enemy could seize the holy sword. He adds that if he throws the sword and the final blow fails, the situation would become extremely risky. Spirit agrees and acknowledges that even if she returns to him, there would still be a brief moment when he would remain exposed without her presence. He expresses his wish that the sword worked like a boomerang, one that could go out and come back instantly. After thinking it through more carefully, Spirit realizes that such a method might actually be possible. Katagiri notices that the cloth connected to her has a far-reaching stretch. In response, Spirit explains that pulling her back would not be difficult at all, since a single strong tug would bring her straight back to him. Katagiri accepts the idea, seeing clearly that this method could indeed work. At present, amid the ongoing battle with the lizard, Katagiri realizes that the enemy remains extremely difficult to bring down. Even so, he calls his weapon back to himself and prepares to repeat the attack until the opponent is completely defeated. The holy sword is launched from above once more, crashing down toward the creature in fast, repeated strikes. At the same time, he signals Shei to stay focused and to move at the precise moment. Without hesitation, she charges forward with her own attack. Together, their combined assault overwhelms the dragon, and the creature is finally brought down. After the fight ends, the three of them go out together to eat ramen. Katagiri points out the specific ramen that was ordered for Shei, and both of them continue eating, the strong flavor standing out clearly. As they eat, Katagiri reflects on how their first mission has turned out better than expected. He mentions that Shei should take on the forward role at times, and also comments on her actions during the battle. Shei resists being told what to do. Seeing this, he changes his approach and thinks about how close they are to reaching the next rank. Later, Katagiri goes alone to the men's restroom. He stands in front of the mirror, leans over the sink, and remains lost in thought. At that moment, Spirit suddenly appears and addresses him inside the restroom. He is surprised and recalls what he previously told the others about Shei steadily moving toward the next rank. He reflects that the real situation is not so simple. Their recent success, he realizes, only happened because they were able to take advantage of higher ground and because the enemy's defense was broken at the right moment. Spirit draws attention to the fact that this means progress will not be easy unless he learns to adjust to many different kinds of situations. Katagiri gives no response and remains deeply absorbed in his thoughts. At night, when Shei returns to her home, she is received at the entrance by his household attendants, Lydia, who formally greet her. She is informed that it is time for her regular daily schedule. After some time passes, Lydia is in the main hall when Shei arrives. Noticing her presence, she prepares to begin the usual training session for the day. Before it can start, Katagiri interrupts and explains that there is something important she wishes to ask. He then makes a direct request to be taught the art of sword training. The scene shifts to an hour earlier. Katagiri recalls the astonishing speed Shei displays in combat. The level of skill she demonstrates is impossible to overlook, and it immediately piques his interest. When Shei explains that her daily training is overseen by Lydia, a former hunter now working as a maid who specializes in swordsmanship, Katagiri reflects on the discipline involved. It becomes clear to him that such relentless, structured practice naturally produces exceptional results. As the idea takes root, he begins to consider the possibility of learning from the same instructor. The moment he voices the thought, however, Shei shuts it down, insisting that Lydia would never agree to train anyone else. Katagiri remains undeterred, convinced that Lydia's expertise could help him grow stronger. Shei continues to refuse, stressing the importance of her lessons and holding firm despite his repeated requests. After that, the two head toward Lydia together. Upon reaching her, Katagiri formally introduces himself and explains that he has formed a party with Shei. He does not attempt to hide his status as a low-rank hunter. As part of his introduction, he offers a small gift of baked sweets, explaining that it is only a modest token and asking her to accept it. Lydia studies him in silence before asking why he seeks sword training from her. After a brief pause, Katagiri answers with conviction, making it clear that his request has a specific purpose. He admits that Shei may not have shared everything and reveals that he is the bearer of a sacred blade whose true strength he has yet to unlock. He goes on to explain that his role as Shei's companion is crucial to her advancement in rank. If he becomes stronger, her path forward will be far smoother. For that reason, he asks to be trained in swordsmanship as well. After hearing him out, Lydia agrees, on the condition that he endure the same grueling routine she puts Shei through every single day. At the mention of this daily regimen, Katagiri responds with enthusiasm. That confidence vanishes almost instantly once the training begins, as he is overwhelmed by the very first strike and collapses on the spot. As he struggles to comprehend the sheer force behind the attack, Spirit urges him to focus more intensely. Nearby, Shei observes the outcome and bluntly comments on how inefficient his performance was. Katagiri, still reeling, turns back to Lydia and asks what rank of hunter she truly is. Before continuing, Lydia sets a firm condition. If he can land even a single blow on her, she will accept him as a trainee. She then reveals that her identity as a hunter is driven by a singular, unwavering purpose. Everything she does is bound to fulfilling that objective. A vow tied directly to Lady Shei and the sacred weapon, one she intends to carry out without hesitation. Hearing this, Katagiri steadies himself. Drawing the holy blade, he shifts into a guarded stance and attempts once more to align his senses with the lethal pressure directed at him, just as he had before. As Lydia moves, the weight of Master Zaid's fixation bears down on her. Her speed rivals Shei's, but every strike carries crushing power. Even as he reacts, it becomes painfully clear that his movements lag behind hers. Lydia presses forward, demonstrating another attack, but before it can fully connect, Shei steps in and blocks it. Lydia immediately turns to her, questioning the interruption. Without missing a beat, Shei calmly explains that this exchange is part of her usual training. Katagiri is stunned. It quickly becomes apparent that this deadly back and forth is something they repeat daily. The realization that their routine involves constant, life-threatening combat weighs heavily on him. When Shei confirms that this is how she grows stronger, Katagiri outright rejects the idea, unable to accept such reasoning. Even so, he openly acknowledges Lydia's overwhelming strength and fully understands just how dangerous she is. Rather than discouraging him, that realization only strengthens his resolve to learn from her. No matter how difficult it may be, he is determined to land at least one strike. Lydia, however, remains skeptical that he can accomplish such a feat. Nearby, Spirit watches the situation unfold and senses it spiraling toward danger. The thought of testing a hidden ability briefly crosses her mind, but the circumstances make it clear that doing so now would be risky. As the tension builds, a memory from the previous day surfaces in Katagiri's thoughts. The day before, he had been contemplating weapons capable of replicating traits found in living creatures. During that conversation, he had asked Spirit about Shei's weapon and its unusual abilities. Spirit had explained that weapons embedded with monster cores inherit the characteristics of the creatures they originate from, and that this rule applies universally. With those words lingering in his mind, Katagiri looks to the sacred blade in his hand. If weapons inherit the traits of the monsters bound to them, he wonders if the blade's strength can be drawn out through himself. For now, however, that possibility remains uncertain.
Here I am,